6 Monster Mash!
Clive Barker's Hellbound, HellRaiser 2. The movie kicks up right away with the horrific sight of Frank from the end of the first film, spouting off the iconic line,
Jesus wept.
Then, after some credits and a short recap of the first film, and then when the movie actually starts, we get a glimpse of the one and only Doug Bradley. That's Pinhead, or the Hell Priest. This is before he becomes the iconic Cenobite we all know and love. Pinhead origin story, if you will. He's messing about with the cryptic puzzle box when all of a sudden, it shocks him, forcing him to drop it. Then the room begins to darken, and the box starts to move and play this eerie music. As he peers over the box, a bunch of chains and hooks come flying out of the box. A bunch of razor-sharp tentacles start whipping around and slicing and slashing these giant thick gashes in sort of a grid pattern. Then a bunch of pins are hammered into his skull, and thus, Pinhead is born. We meet back up with Kirsty, played by Ashley Lawrence, and she has now, and since the events of the first film, been locked away in an insane asylum. She doesn't recall how she got here, and just isn't having it.
Who the fuck are you?
So a couple of cops are investigating Kirsty's father's house, where all the murders happened. They find some bodies, and they also find the bloody mattress that evil bitch Julia died on in the first film. Kirsty warns them that if they don't destroy that mattress, that Julia will be able to come back just like Frank was able to do in the first one. Enter Kyle, played by William Hope. He's basically like an assistant nurse who actually feels bad for Kirsty and doesn't think she's completely full of shit. Then walks in Dr. Chenard, played by Kenneth Cranham. And he's pretty much one of the main antagonists of the film, apart from Julia, but we'll get to that shit later. The doctor, however, doesn't think Kirsty is insane. He hears her story and comes up with a super evil, diabolical plan. Kirsty is roaming the halls of the clinic when she walks past a room with a young girl, Tiffany, played by Imogen Borman, who seems to be playing with some sort of puzzle. Little does Kirsty know that one little girl will be the one to close that evil fucking box for good. Kirsty is just laying on her bed, trying to fall asleep, when the shit starts to go down. When she sees the gruesome image of her skinless father in the corner of the room, and it appears to be he's writing a message in blood on the wall that reads, "I'm in hell. Help me." She clenches her eyes shut out of extreme fear, and when she opens them, her father is gone, but his eerie message still remains. We cut to Dr. Chenard, and he's going deep into the loony bin to find his first specimen for his dark, hellish experiment, and after looking from room to room, getting a glimpse of the craziest motherfuckers you will ever meet, he settles on this crazy fuck who thinks that bugs are constantly crawling on him. So after the doc makes a selection, he takes Looney Tune back to his house where the blood-stained portal to hell mattress awaits its prey. The doctor doesn't know that his assistant Kyle is literally hiding in the room and watches a macabre horror unfolds. And now Kyle knows that Kirsty wasn't lying and is now on to the doctor's shit. I mean, this scene is pretty fucking gruesome. The doctor even gives the guy this, razor to cut himself. Holy shit. Julia bursts out of the bed and grabs the guy. He breaks away and then she, slow crawl chases him around the room, only before jamming her hand through his neck to suck out his fucking life force. Later on, the doctor bandages up Julia's grotesque-looking ass, and then she's walking around looking like an even more morbid version of the Bride of Frankenstein. Then we have this super awkward, bloody makeout sesh, and that's when Julia reveals to the doctor that she needs more victims so she can regain her fucking skin. Kirsty and Kyle set out to go find her father and hopefully save him from his hellish prison. Now, with the help of the fucked up ass, twisted ass fuck Dr. Chenard and a couple of poor victims later, Julia is now fully regenerated, skin and all, and can now rightfully fulfill her evil ass destiny. Within their investigation, Kyle wanders upstairs and meets Julia. And yes, you've guessed it, jams her fucking hand right through his motherfucking neck and sucks out all of his motherfucking blood, just leaving him there like a piece of trash, just like a lifeless husk of a human corpse. Kirsty goes to look for Kyle only to find him dead as fuck and sucked the fuck dry like a motherfucking prune in the attic. She discovers Julia and then it's on. Julia knocks her ass to the floor and Kirsty is out. Dr. Chenard gives Tiffany the lament configuration to see if she can open it for him so he won't have to, basically offering Tiffany as a sacrifice. She opens the box like the doctor expects, and what happens when the puzzle box is solved is beyond anything the doctor could ever imagine. A bell is heard tolling in the distance, strong winds, the walls open up and the Cenobite gash emerges to claim the soul and flesh of the one who dares to open the box. But the Hell Priest is no fool and realizes that the hands that opened the box were only a pawn in the desire of another. Good old Dr. Chenard. Then Pinhead, the Hell Priest, and his gash recede back into the walls. Kirsty wakes up in the attic after being pimp-slapped, and upon leaving finds a box laying on the floor. She picks it up and heads into the labyrinth of hell to find her father. And after a terrifying scene with Kirsty being in some random room with all the pictures bleeding and fucked up cockroaches everywhere, Kirsty is then confronted yet again by the Cenobites. Pinhead then morphs the box into this pointed version of it and reveals to Kirsty that she can't save her father and that he is in his own hell. She doesn't believe him and makes a run for it. Kirsty finally finds Tiffany and tells her that she's the only one that can close this fucking box, and then the two are off. All the while, Julia and Dr. Chenard are on this stroll, and then they come up on this giant thing in the sky, which is called the Leviathan.
The god of flesh, hunger, and desire.
Then the doctor's all of a sudden flooded with a bunch of flashbacks of all the violent and dark moments of his life all at once, forcing him to just see how much of an evil fuck he really is. Then a tomb-like structure emerges from the ground as Julia pushes the poor son of a bitch in. Claws and needles come out, slashing and injecting him. Then a series of wires come down in front of his face and wrap around his fucking face, cutting him in deep as shit, all at once, as they pull tighter and tighter. And then to wrap it all the fuck up, this giant demon cock or whatever goes down his fucking throat as he descends into the pits of hell. Dark. So for some reason, Kirsty separates from Tiffany and ends up in this twisted room where there's like candles everywhere and there's these weird tables coming out of the wall with like bloody chicks on it, and they're covered in blankets, you know. She sees old Uncle Frank in the flesh, no pun intended, but he's literally in the flesh, standing right there in front of her, and he tells her that it was him that sent the message and not her dad. Then after Frank tries some creepy incest shit, Kirsty tricks him and grabs one of the sheets that was covering the dead body chicks and throws it onto some candles, igniting the room into a fiery blaze, burning the place the fuck down. The room all of a sudden stops being on fire, I guess, and Julia shows up with Tiffany and ultimately kills Frank by ripping out his fucking heart. The tomb-like object that the doctor met his demise in rises up once again and opens up to reveal the doctor is in. He's a Cenobite now, and he's pissed and he wants fucking revenge. Kirsty is trying to save Tiffany from being sucked down some wind tunnel, and Julia grabs her to try to pull her down the tunnel with her. Kirsty goes and grabs her other arm, Tiffany's other arm, and then by some fucking crazy force of nature, the force of the wind in the wind tunnel like rips off Julia's fucking skin. It was intense. Then we get a creepy ass shot of a bunch of old people, and they're all in hospital beds playing with their own personal puzzle boxes. The doctor comes crashing in the room, and that's when he says his iconic line.
The doctor. Is he?
He of course goes on a fucking killing spree, killing everybody in the room. Kirsty and Tiffany come face to face with the Cenobites yet again, and they want her fucking flesh. Kirsty then shows him a picture of his former self before when he was human. She reminds them all that they were all human at one point.
I remember.
The doctor attempts to take Tiffany with him, and a brutal fight between the evil doctor and the other Cenobites ensue. After being chained up, the doctor uses his blade tentacles to cut free of his shackles. He then impales 3 of the Cenobites, killing them all and leaving Pinhead alive. Then shoots Pinhead with these fucking laser deals that come out of his hands, causing Pinhead to transform back into his human self. After Kirsty and Tiffany escape with one quick slash, the doctor splits Pinhead's throat, killing the fuck out of him. Yeah. After narrowly escaping the labyrinth, Tiffany and Kirsty, for some reason, go right back in. They go back to Julia's skin pile and grab the lament configuration to finally put a stop to this shit and close this motherfucker once and for all. They race back to the center of the labyrinth to close the portal. Tiffany starts to do her thing, closing the box, whatever, when the doctor shows up for one last final showdown with the girls and to stop them from closing the box. Right as the doctor's about to put this fucking drill blender thing through Tiffany's fucking eyeball, Julia, yes, I said it, Julia, the same Julia that got her fucking skin literally peeled the fuck off, well, she's back, folks, and skin and all, sort of. And she's here to save the day, sort of. I know, weird, right? But let me explain. Julia ends up tricking the doctor yet again. Distracts him yet again with another gross makeout sesh. All the while, Tiffany is solving the puzzle box. The doctor notices that shit and he's not having it. He tries to slash her and his blade tentacles get stuck in the ground. And for no reason at all, the top of his head just rips off and his body falls down the labyrinth. I don't get it either, but gruesome as fuck. Julia pulls Tiffany up from hanging over a ledge, and her arm's like starting to rip off, like the skin on her arm's starting to rip off, and she's kind of having a little bit of trouble pulling her up. And then whenever she finally gets her up there, she pulls down her face only to reveal that it was Kirsty underneath the whole time, or this time. They hug and race out of the labyrinth, barely escaping the walls closing in on them, and escaping with their lives. Right before the credits roll, there's a final scene with these moving guys. One of them goes into the room with the blood mattress and gets pulled into the bed. The other guy hears his buddy screaming upstairs and goes up there to check it out, only to find this strange podium just spinning in the middle of the room. There's a bunch of morbid shit going on here. There's like 2 skeletons fucking, Pinhead's face, you got like a bunch of like bugs and shit crawling on, chains going everywhere. And then to cap it off, it ends with some freaky ass dude saying, "What is your pleasure, son?" And that's basically the end of the film. Really good fucking movie. If you're a horror fan, HellRaiser fan, if you're a fan of Clive Barker, definitely highly recommend you check it out. The music, the atmosphere, it just had everything, the special effects, the makeup effects, like everything, the actors, actresses, what can I really say, but go get yourself a copy, watch it any way you can. Clive Barker's Hellbound, HellRaiser 2. Go check it out, folks. See you guys on the next episode of Monster Mash.